I'm so excited. The new summer release from Iron Orchid Design just arrived in my mail today. I just unboxed it and you can get it now. It's live. So I am going to start with this Ditsy Blooms paint inlay. How gorgeous is this? Okay, so I'm gonna put it on this tray that I painted with the one step in sage. So we're gonna get started. I'm gonna show you how much fun and how easy it is to use a paint inlay. And here's the thing, this can be used up to 3 times. It's not a one and done.
The best way I have found to get the most out of your IOD paint inlays is to use DIY paint, clear liquid patina. Be really generous with this. Put it over dried paint. I find that the liquid patina really pulls a nice clean image from those paint inlays. Get it nice and wet. I'm using a damp paper towel to make sure like all edges are totally adhered to it.
The door behind me, that leads to my garage. In that garage, there is enough old furniture and dumpster finds and a few thrift store stuff and I think a customer's 2 storage units clean out. I have enough projects to last me for a good year. But what did I do today? I went to the Goodwill. The next thing I'm gonna work with is the new Saint Germain transfer. This is in the new summer release. And since I happen to have a lot of paint on my brush, I went ahead and did this tray as well. But look at all these gorgeous pages. It comes in 8 pages, all these beautiful florals, perfect for summer. There's even like a moth butterfly here, a butterfly here. I'm gonna choose one page and put that down on this tray.
This is what it looked like when my first order of IOD came. It was heavy. There are so many beautiful choices in this Saint Germain transfer. I had to look through the whole thing to figure out what I wanted. I finally settled on these 2 sprays. I'm going to cut them out and I'm gonna adhere them just as they are, going in different directions. So I peeled off the non-stick back. I'm gonna set it down and then just lightly go over it. Now I'm using the enclosed burnishing stick. I just work from one section to the other, turn the plastic over, and again, I'm gonna seal it with that clear patina. My inlay is pretty much dry. You want to work with the patina before it's totally dry, otherwise it might be a little hard to get that up. I wet it again, pulling it straight back. How beautiful is that? When I'm out running errands, I often drive behind buildings if I think I'm gonna see something. It looks like something at the end. I got closer. It's some kind of weird shopping cart thing.
Okay, I've got these pieces cut in half. I love to use the DIY paint clear patina to get the inlays to stick. Now, I think where people run into problems with the inlays sometimes when they're using the patina is they don't use enough. So just be generous with it because you will get a much better result when all of that beautiful paint that is on the inlay sheet sticks to your painted piece or whatever it is you have done. So I'm putting a real generous coat on here. I'm gonna try something new. Shout out to Jonathan Mark Mendez. I learned this in a class I took for IOD training. Wet the back of it and it makes it a little more flexible. Sometimes they tend to get a little bunched up. Okay, I'm going to try to lay it down straight, right kind of in the center. And I'm just slowly going and I'm gonna kind of like decoupage paper almost. And once you put it down, you don't want it to move because the paint is already getting activated in there. If you pick it up, you might get some ghosting, the little smearies. And we're gonna try to avoid the smearies. Okay, I'm gonna wet it again. You can use a paper towel. I just like using my fingers with a little towel, pressing it down. I like the spray bottle, making sure that it's fully adhered and stuck to your piece because you want to have a really nice impression on this. You want your piece to make a good first impression.
I'm using it on all sides, and again, I'm putting a really generous amount of the clear patina on each side and then gently putting those inlays over it and then wetting it thoroughly. I've allowed it to dry almost all the way. The wood was really uneven on this box, so I'm pulling it up. Now here's a tip. Use a fixative before you go putting a top coat on. If your inlay hasn't had a chance to dry for a while, the paint sometimes will smear a little bit. Finishing this off with a coat of clear wax. I only need a little bit, but I love the way that wax makes wood feel. Here's a little tour of what I see every day. I know, you wish that you lived in my garage.
I have before me all of these inlays, and I'm thinking like blue and white's really trending right now. Took me a minute, this indigo, to get this all lined up, but I think I got them matching. Some of the inlays, when it's a big scene, you can do them individually, or you can use multiple sheets together to make a really cohesive, beautiful scene. This is a little bit like a puzzle piece. Once I got it figured out, what you want to do, you want to make sure to trim these edges here, so when you go to put them down on your piece, they're going to line up perfectly. So of course I like to make things a little difficult for myself. I'm going to use a big tray for this. We're going to see if we can make this work, and let's stay tuned.
When working with inlays where you're making an entire scene, you want to trim off the negative part on the edge or the blank part. Now I am just trimming around the tray, and then I'm going to just use my hand to kind of get a nice tight crease there, and then I'll trim some more before I start on the inlay so that inlay just sets in there. I'm going to use a real generous amount of liquid patina. I'm only doing 1/2 of it, kind of like if you're familiar with decoupage. Just do a half, then I'm going to make sure that is straight and in place, and then I will put the other half down. So I also taped the 4 pieces together to make that entire scene. That's way easier than trying to line it up. So I highly recommend, if you're doing a big scene, trim the edges, tape it together. I have the whole inlay down. I'm going to wet it really well, and again, that damp towel to make sure everything is touching the flat surface of that tray so I get a really good impression from this beautiful inlay. This fall, there will be a San Francisco Bay Area fun creative workshop with Dion Woods at the Turquoise Iris and Debi Beard at DIY Paint here in my hometown. It was a fun thing to ride a bike across the Golden Gate Bridge. If you're interested in coming to the San Francisco Bay Area for this, I will leave a link below where you can get on the wait list. This is an old memo board I literally found in the trash. So I'm using a pair of needle nose pliers to pull out those darts in the back that keep the backing adhered to the frame. It's probably going to be a little tight there, as I'm going to cover that backing with some fabric. It's taken me a minute to get it out, but so worth it. Okay, so you can see on the other side there's fabric, but otherwise it's in really good shape. I'm going to choose some fabric. I have this upholstery fabric from IKEA. Now I'm gonna just lay it over to kind of get the feel of how I want this to look. I think I want that big rose to be in the center, so I'm going to just trim to fit. Now I'm using an upholstery tacky glue. Just be really generous with it. Let it set up for a minute before you place your fabric down, and it's pretty forgiving. I will put the brand down in the description of what I like. Now I'm going to place that down, gently smooth it out, let it sit for a minute. I'm going to turn that over and trim off the excess fabric. Then I'm going to turn over, trim it off one more time with some fabric scissors. Then I'm going to paint this frame with just one coat of DIY Paint JRV one-step paint in vintage linen. It's highly pigmented. One coat was all I needed, and I'm using the shorty brush. Now I'm gonna do some fun embellishments on it using the bows mold from IOD. So here's the thing with your clay. It will dry out really fast if you don't take good care of it. When you are finished with it, after you open a package, put it back in the package with a wet paper towel around it, and then some saran wrap, then a Ziploc baggie. It will last forever. So you can see I dusted my mold with some cornstarch. That's gonna make the clay come out really easily. So when working with molds that have like long pieces, I like to make like a Play-Doh snake and then just push it in. And then I'm going to remove the excess clay and turn the mold over and gonna let gravity pull it out. And you can see I got such a perfect casting. I'm gonna add just a little bit of the Tight Bond glue to it using a popsicle stick. Don't put your glue all the way to the edges, it will mush out. And I'm just gonna lightly adhere it. Remember, as your clay is drying, to keep coming back to it and just pushing the edges down. There's a lot of water in it, not a ton. It is my favorite clay. Some are too much water. This is just the right amount. It really shouldn't crack too much, but you're just gonna wanna push down those edges as the moisture evaporates out of it. Also, I really like this scrapey tool to get the excess out. I'm using the roses mold for this. It's a nice deep one. I'm gonna use that to embellish with the bows. One thing I love about IOD products, they all go together so well. You can mix and match the molds, the inlays, the transfers, the stamps. So many uses, only your imagination is the limit. It is so fun and so rewarding to upcycle your old stuff with things you found at the thrift store or literally in the trash using IOD and DIY paint products. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe. You can visit me in person at Artisan Peacock in Brentwood, California, or shop online. Thank you for watching.